be under contract.
What does that say to you? 8 years.
They'll own her in 8 years. I mean, psychologically, they start immediately. So she is subservient to them. And after 8 years, she'd be a robot.
A number of former CIA and FBI officials pitched in and supplied the pair with everything from handheld global positioning units to gyroscope-stabilized binoculars.
This might be handy. Hope we don't need any.
The plan, to the extent there is one, sounds pretty straightforward. Zero in on Lonnie's location, create a ruse to separate her from the traffickers, even kick in some doors if they have to, whatever it takes to get her out of Malaysia as quickly as possible.
What did you think the chances were of actually finding Lonnie and freeing her?
Maybe 10%.
10%.
There's a chance. It wasn't hopeful.
After all, the men were traveling 8,000 miles from home to a country of 27 million people in hopes of finding one girl.
I was just worried about the flight home without Lonnie, then breaking my wife's heart. She told me not to come back without her.
What made you apprehensive about going on this trip?
You're dealing with bad people, and they all usually have guns, and they're bad. I mean, really bad. You have a good day.
Finally, the mission is launched, and we're invited along. Because the two Americans don't know where Lonnie is being held, they start in her hometown of Cebu in the southern Philippines. In her home in this squatter's village, Lonnie's mother tells the searchers how it all started. In early October 2006, she accompanied her daughter to this church, where Lonnie and 15 others were told to gather for their trip to Malaysia. They were met by a woman named Rachel Sabal. She had recruited Lonnie and the others, promising them high-paying jobs as singers in Malaysia. For Lonnie's rescuers, it's the first big lead.
Lonnie's mother recognizing and knowing who Rachel was the key.
Jerry and Troop passed the name to police, who checked travel records and quickly discovered that a Rachel Sabal has recently returned to the Philippines. It's a lucky break. She's still nearby.
She just arrived from Kuala Lumpur 3-4 days ago.
Jerry and Troop ride along as detectives go looking for Rachel.
If there's a written complaint, we can go and then just arrest Rachel.
When they do find her, Rachel is defiant, insisting that Lonnie and the others went to Malaysia of their own free will and are being well treated. But the cops aren't buying it.
They sweet-talked her and her father into the police station, and then they bilked her for information, and she was getting confident. She was pretty confident.
So confident is Rachel that she's done nothing wrong, she provides police with a crude map showing where she claims Lonnie and the 15 other Filipinos are living 1,500 miles away in the Malaysian city of Penang. By this time, it's clear Rachel is in some hot water. She's given a crash course in Filipino law.
The recruitment and transportation of persons by other using violence or threat of violence.
Rachel calls her sister, who we learn is in Malaysia, keeping watch over Lonnie and the others. Jerry and Troop discover that the number Rachel has dialed is the same one Lonnie's captors used to make the ransom call.
They had a district attorney type thing who came in and was going to try to check out everybody's story. And he went in and had one talk with her, and he told us, book her. She's the most blatant human trafficker I've ever seen. And then they threw in the clink. And she fell apart at the seams.
While this is all going on, Rachel's cell phone rings, and you won't believe who's on the other end. It's Lonnie.
Lonnie.
But it's like she's a different person than the one who called Oregon in a panic only weeks earlier. She tells her mother things are fine in Malaysia and that she wants to stay. Her Uncle Troop doesn't believe it, fearful that someone else is putting those words in her mouth.
I just told her, Lonnie, we are coming for you, and we're coming now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
And as quickly as they arrived, Troop and Jerry depart the Philippines for Malaysia, unsure of Lonnie's precise location. Coming up, Now you see her.
We're at the right place.
Now you don't.
They know we're coming.
Tantalizing leads, disappointing setbacks. When to the Rescue continues. It's been 3 weeks since Lonnie Ejercito fell prey to a human trafficking network stretching from the Philippines to Malaysia. She's managed to make 2 calls to her family. During the first call, she was in a panic, but the second time she called, she was peculiarly calm. Was someone controlling her?
I felt that everything she said has been orchestrated. She's been told to say what they want her to say.
Retired FBI agent Jerry Howe and Lonnie's uncle, Troop Emonds, are in Asia trying to find and free Lonnie. Flying into Malaysia, the pair knew the clock was ticking. The arrest of Lonnie's recruiter provided important leads, but may have also given those holding Lonnie a heads up.
I'm worried about, God, we've wasted so much time. They know we're coming. They're going to just be splitting and taking Lonnie. We'll never find her. I mean, how are we going to find her?
Armed with a crude map that Rachel, the recruiter, drew for police, Jerry and Troop canvass a neighborhood near the university in Penang. Lonnie's rescuers are pointed to an apartment on the top floor.
And there were lots of shoes outside the door. But the shoes didn't look like shoes that students would wear, so I felt that we had the right place.
But he can't proceed further without help from the authorities, and that's a bit of a crapshoot. Unlike the Philippines, Malaysia hasn't always been the most hospitable toward America or Americans.
Filipino police said, Troop and Jerry, you be real careful. That's a Muslim country over there, and, you're Americans, and,
You might not be welcome there?
Yeah, that's what they told me. They said, we don't even like to go there.
After 2 days of conducting their own investigation, the 2 Americans roll the dice and approach the Malaysian police.
And we just walk up, and we say, well, we'd like to talk to a supervisor or somebody in charge.
And they don't know you're coming.
Oh, no,
you don't have an
no,
appointment.
No,
you don't have a contact name.
No contact.
No phone number.
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You just show up.
Just show up.
They're taken to see a top police official who doesn't quite know what to make of the men or their mission.
Here's these 2, looks like a couple of middle-aged losers, I mean, it's like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon stumbling across Asia. And here's this incredible story about we're looking for a young Asian girl who was lured into this human trafficking thing, and we're asking for their help.
Whether out of sheer curiosity or a sense of duty, the police agree to send a team to the apartment. Hello? The window is open, and there are still shoes out front, all of which suggests someone is inside. But no one answers, and the police move in. The place is empty, and it seems whoever was living there left in a hurry. Is Rachel's map bogus? Or are Troop and Jerry just too late?
They weren't there when we cased the place. Our hearts sank a little bit. I mean, a nerve, I wouldn't say a little bit, a lot.
But then, in sweeping the apartment, the Malaysian police find something.
That's her, a picture of Lonnie.
Lonnie had left behind a scrapbook.
I mean, it just flashed by me. I know it was her. This one. Oh, we're at the right place.
Right place, wrong time. And it looked like it had something to do with that phone call Lonnie placed days earlier.
When we were in the Philippines, Troop was actually able to talk to Lonnie for a few minutes, and Troop announced that we were coming, which I may not have done as an FBI agent, but I understand as an uncle saying we're coming to get you. I'm sure they moved them because of that.
The scrapbook is a hopeful sign. Troop wonders if Lonnie has left it behind as a deliberate clue that she'd been there.
The good thing is it was proof that they actually were here. So we got something to go on. And the bad part of it is, she's gone.
What was your worst fear at that point?
Well, how do you find somebody in a country like Malaysia? I mean, my God.
But it wasn't just could they find her, but would they find her before she was victimized?